Starting Monday, September 1st, big changes are coming to SNAP benefits. If you're currently receiving benefits or even thinking about applying soon, this is something you need to pay close attention to. The federal government's new rules, passed in what's being called the Big Bill, are set to take effect immediately. And while states are still waiting for some guidance from Washington on exactly how to implement the changes, one thing is clear. For many people, the way SNAP works is about to look very different. Here's what it means. Under the new rules, if you're between the ages of 18 and 54, have no kids, and are considered able to work, you now face a new hurdle to keep your SNAP benefits. It's no longer enough just to qualify based on income. You'll also have to prove that you're either working, volunteering, or taking part in some kind of training or education program. And it's not just a casual commitment. At least 20 hours every single week or 80 hours spread across a month. Miss that mark, and you could be cut off. For many, this is the difference between having food on the table and going hungry. And this is where the frustration really sets in. For a lot of people, these new rules feel like yet another obstacle placed in front of them at a time when life is already hard enough. They argue that instead of offering real support, like better access to stable jobs or affordable training programs, the government is essentially forcing them to spend hours proving they deserve help, even when the help is barely enough to get by. Some say it's a punishment disguised as policy. On the other side, the administration insists this isn't about taking food away, but about pushing able-bodied adults to stay engaged, whether that's by working, volunteering, or learning new skills. Their reasoning is that SNAP should be a temporary safety net, not a permanent way of life. To them, it's about accountability. But to those directly impacted, it feels like the system is shifting the burden onto people who are already struggling, just to keep their heads above water. There are, however, exemptions. If you live in a household with a child under 18, if you're pregnant, if you're caring for someone who's ill or disabled, or if you have your own physical or mental health challenges, these rules don't apply to you. Veterans are also exempt, as are people facing domestic violence, those in treatment programs, and young adults aging out of foster care. Homeless individuals are also protected under these exemptions. Now, here's where it gets complicated. States are under pressure to enforce these rules, and if they don't, the federal government could cut funding. That means if states allow people to keep receiving benefits without meeting the requirements, they risk financial penalties, and that could reduce benefits for everyone in the state. Another issue is overpayments. If you've been receiving more benefits than you were supposed to, states will be responsible for clawing that money back. And unlike the federal government, states don't have as much bureaucracy to slow things down. That means if you've been overpaid, you could hear from your state agency much sooner than you expect, and you may have to pay that money back. But the changes don't stop there. And this is where things get even more controversial. Several states are stepping in with their own rules, going beyond federal requirements. They're now placing strict limits on what SNAP dollars can actually buy. That means in certain places, soda, candy, energy drinks, and chips are officially off the list. For families who rely on SNAP, those small indulgences, whether it's a soda after work or a snack for the kids, are suddenly out of reach. Supporters of these bans argue it's a matter of public health. They say taxpayer money shouldn't be used to purchase junk food, especially at a time when rates of diabetes and obesity are climbing. To them, this is about encouraging healthier choices and making sure SNAP funds go toward real nutrition. But critics fire back, saying this is government overreach at its worst, deciding what low-income families can and cannot eat. They point out that wealthier households are free to buy whatever they want, while struggling families are the only ones being policed. And with each state rolling these bans out on its own timeline, some starting now, others in January, and more throughout the year, it's creating a patchwork system where what you're allowed to buy depends entirely on where you live. All of this signals a major shift in how SNAP operates. The federal government has made it clear they're not going to continue funding billions in benefits without stricter rules and oversight. For recipients, that means updating your information, keeping your address current with DHS and the Postal Service, and being prepared for these new requirements. The bottom line is this. Starting September 1st, 2025, the rules change. If you're in the group affected, You'll need to work, volunteer, or pursue training to keep your benefits. If you fall under an exemption, make sure your case file is updated so there are no delays or interruptions. And if you've been receiving benefits you may not have qualified for, be ready. States are already beginning to look for errors and fraud. These changes are going to affect millions of Americans. For some, it will mean adjusting schedules or seeking out volunteer opportunities. For others, it could mean losing access to food assistance if the requirements aren't met. We'll see how each state handles the rollout, but one thing is certain. The SNAP program is about to get tougher, and recipients will need to be more proactive than ever. So make sure you stay informed, keep your information updated, and prepare for the new rules starting now. If this report gave you real insight, don't just move on. Hit the subscribe button and stay with us. We go beyond the headlines, ask the tough questions, and uncover what others overlook. Your support keeps this channel alive and helps us continue bringing you the truth. Subscribe now and never miss the updates that matter most.